Elias Canetti was 32 years old when his mother died. That single loss became the echo chamber of his life. It shattered his inner world and ignited an obsession that would haunt him for the next 50 years, a reckoning with death. He called it the book against death, not a rejection of mortality, but a revolt against surrender. He had already lost his father as a child. Now, with his mother gone, Canetti began writing with the urgency of someone who knows the clock is ticking. His grief was immense, but he did not numb it. He gave it language. He used it as a lens to see not just his sorrow, but the entire suffering world. For Canetti, the death of one person was not isolated. It was cosmic. When cities were bombed during the war, he felt as if parts of his soul had been torn away. He wrote, "I am every building in which children sleep." In mourning his mother, he was mourning humanity itself. This is the paradox of Canetti's grief. It was intensely personal, yet universally expansive. It is this paradox that makes his reflections so powerful. Every tear was a telescope and a microscope, looking outward to the world and inward to the soul. Even amid devastation, he saw a kind of fragile beauty. Above the shattered world, he wrote, there stretches a pure blue heaven. That blue sky, for him, was a reminder that life still holds, that something luminous still hovers above despair. Canetti's writing is filled with resistance. He did not want to die. He did not want others to die. But he also did not want to forget. Forgetting to him was a second death. He wrote down every thought against death as it came to him, raw and unfiltered, as if documenting a rebellion. In a time when the world was falling apart, he chose to document life's splinters. And he was not alone. Other writers wrestled with death too. W.H. Auden once wrote, "We must love one another or die." After the war, he changed it to undie. Even the hopeful became broken. But others, like Muriel Rukeyser, insisted that all the pain and beauty still served one thing: more life. That is what Canetti clung to, not just to survive, but to live so fully that death would find nothing unclaimed. Canetti once said he wanted to unscrew the coffin of his mother with his lips and pull her out. That is not denial. That is love at its most raw. He knew she was gone. But he also knew that love does not decay like flesh. Love lingers. Love speaks. He wanted to lend her his breath, his legs, his motion. And in doing so, he gave voice to the shared ache of all who have lost someone. He gave us a map through sorrow, not by avoiding it, but by walking directly into its darkest halls. He understood what Hemingway meant when he said, "No one you love is ever dead." Or what Dickinson meant when she said, "Those we lose become crescents in our sky. The dead live on in us. They shape us. Their absence becomes our outline." Canetti feared not just death, but the emptiness left behind. He wrote that he wanted fewer people in his life, so he would never get used to losing them. To love, for him, was a risk worth taking, but one that scarred you permanently. The most important truths, he believed, take decades to surface. By the time we're ready to say them, the people we wish to say them to are often already gone. And that, he believed, was one of life's cruelties. His mother's death, however, awakened him. It was not the end. It was a beginning, a painful one, but one that made him alert to everything he had taken for granted. Death, as Rilke once wrote, brings us into contact with love and life like nothing else can. Canetti knew that we do not die of sadness. In fact, it is sadness that forces us to live on. The aching becomes the drive. The loss becomes the root of meaning. Life, to him, was only real if it came with that kind of gravity. He did not romanticize suffering. He acknowledged it. He hated death, but he also knew it was inseparable from life. He wanted to live long enough to know every human custom, to understand life, because the future would never be his to witness. He believed in being worthy of one's own birth. That is a powerful standard. It means living not just for yourself, but for all the sacrifices that brought you here. It means leaving behind something that can ripen and be shared. To him, every person's death was a wound to all. There was no such thing as a distant death. Every loss was local. Every coffin felt personal. But he wanted peace with life, with loss, with himself. Never with death. His legacy is not just the book against death. It is the courage to grieve publicly, to speak when pain demands silence, to resist numbness, to insist on presence. And in the spirit of presence, I ask you to support work like this. Help us keep sharing voices that matter. Donate what you can. Your support makes it possible to keep these stories alive.